We were riding around, or I was riding around the other day on the four-wheeler, the quad, just going around the property looking at different things in the evening. Just happened to look over and see these illuminated in the light as they are right here. American persimmons, persimmon tree. So I've got these and a couple up here, some up here, and another fruit right here, and then some down there. So this is really exciting. American persimmon tree is, well, it's common from I think about Connecticut and Long Island area all the way down to Florida and west. I think it'll go all the way over to Texas. In some areas of the country, I know that they really are very prolific. They're not that common here, and so this is a pretty exciting discovery. So we have this tree back in here, and there's another persimmon hanging down there. And then there is this tree, which unfortunately, before I knew what this was, I came in here and cut branches off the tree just because they were in the way mowing the grass, and I didn't even really pay attention to what it was. And then this other smaller one over here. So we've got three right here, and it also solved a bit of a mystery for us, is that over by our barn, behind our barn, there was a solitary tree. I knew it looked like a fruit tree, but I've never seen any flowers on it. It's probably about yay tall. Never seen flowers on it, and so, or certainly no fruit, of course. Couldn't figure out what it was, but it had been flagged by previous owners. So I knew there was something about that tree that was special about it. Well, now I know it's a persimmon tree, and that's one of those things that kind of escapes. You think peaches, you think apples, maybe plums, pears. Those are the fruit trees you might imagine. Don't necessarily think persimmons. So this is really exciting. We're going to sort of get in here. We're going to clean all of this out and raise up some of these trees and things, and so these will have more room to develop underneath here. But persimmons are really great. I'm honestly surprised the deer have not found these yet. Only one of them is ripe. That's really key with persimmon. If you try to eat one when it is not ripe, it will be really astringent. But when they're ripe and they're really soft, they're really can be very, very sweet, delicious, a bit like perhaps softer than a peach. And these are smaller ones. They have large seeds in them. These are not hybrid persimmons, obviously. We'll get the seeds out of these and try to germinate some of the seeds and see if we can raise up some persimmon trees. But it is an unusual tree, as I understand about it, is that you could have one persimmon tree growing and one growing right next to it. The fruit from one tree would be really, really good, and the other one would never be good, even when it's ripe. This is exciting, and certainly we'll get some seeds and hopefully start planting some more near our woods and use them both as fruit for us, but also as something to attract whitetail deer in the fall. One other thing about persimmon trees, they do take about 6 to 10 years to flower and produce fruit. So that tells you that this tree over here at least is at least 6 years old, if not older than that. Some people had asked about updates on the food plots for deer that we've put in. So we're in the field in the front side of our property, the upper field. This is the same field we did sunflower seeds in this summer, all in an effort to try and improve soil fertility and get roots down into the ground. And those did really, really well. We have since come in, cut those out, and put in annual ryegrass throughout the whole field. All of the annual ryegrass did great. It germinated quickly. The problem we've been having is we've been having these periods of droughts, and we go a couple of weeks without water, without rain. And we're really just not set up to get water out here with any kind of a sprinkler irrigation system out to this field. So that's a little tough. And the ryegrass has taken a little bit of a hit right in that period where it was starting to grow. The temperatures were still up in the 80s and we weren't getting rain. So that's a bit of a bummer. We came back in these areas and put some of the food plot in here, and you can really see it has done really, really well. The germination rates have been I would argue, been really good for an off-the-shelf product that we got at Tractor Supply, and you can see that's part of the discussion in this video here. We've got turnips, sweet peas, radishes, and some of the rye that's coming up. But let's go down and look at we got a much larger food plot that we put down in the other field that's between our house and the woods. Isaac can pan around. This is the larger, much larger field food plot that we've put in between the house, and back here is the wood. That's up in the woods is where we do our deer hunting and have for the past few years. But in our area of where we live, we don't have a lot of the things that you might have in other areas of peanuts, soybeans, sweet potatoes that might draw deer out of the woods into fields, large pastures. So to put in a food plot, something that draws deer out of the woods to come in here is, well, it's quite beneficial. And so this food plot, as you can see over here, it has really come up very, very well, strongly. I'm really happy with how this food plot, how it is done and come up. We've put in this same fishing line, T-post with 30-pound test fishing line, which did a whole video about that right here, to keep the deer from getting into this food plot before it is fully developed. And so far, walking around here, there's certainly enough in here already for them to eat, but we've walked around, there's no deer prints. I mean, there's prints outside of the fence, but there's none in here yet. So this does work very cheaply. It'll be really easy for us to take back down. I mean, once this gets fully developed, we're ready for deer to get in here. Easy enough to go in here and cut the fishing line, take it down, and then they can have full access. But it also served in the early days, if I keep pan over, but you can see we've got the orange construction barrier. I thought that is a really cheap solution to put up and keep our chickens in out of here, so that when we put the seed down, our flock of chickens are completely pastured, so they go where they want to go, and they would have definitely come in here and eaten most of the seeds we put in this field. So the combination of putting that up, but then even down here of putting this fairly low was enough to, well, obviously it kept the chickens out and the seeds have germinated. So that's an update on the food plot. We'll probably do an update again in a couple of weeks to see how this continues to go, but as I said, really happy with how this has turned out. Well, as we've said in videos before, we don't yet raise livestock for meat. We will be raising meat chickens here. We've got some coming in next week, so 25 broilers that we're going to be raising here. We've helped other people with their broiler chickens and processing. Not done it ourselves, so we'll be doing that. But we don't have pigs or cows or goats even, or sheep for those purposes. We have long-range goals to do that. So whitetail deer fill that spot for us of harvesting meat, really great meat. I love venison, off of our own property. So in doing that, it means in some ways establishing a habitat that attracts whitetail deer. So we've worked this other video that we did about managing our woodlands for that purpose, trying to eliminate certain trees, but then encouraging others. So we encourage the sourwood trees to grow in our woods for our bees, but also oaks and hickories, trees that are going to produce mast for both whitetail deer and wild turkeys. So discovering persimmons is a great thing that we can, without the expense of ordering them and buying them from somebody else, is to take the seeds from these few fruits that we have, hopefully germinate them, and then begin to establish many more persimmon trees going around that are going to attract whitetail deer to our property, especially in the fall during hunting season. But then also putting in these food plots will help as well, which will serve a double purpose. The food plots will improve soil fertility, but then also draw in the whitetail deer, which is well, that's a double bonus. All right, well anyways, we're back up here in our orchard. We did finally get the 5 plum trees from the last video planted into the orchard. So we're gonna this evening try and get to, and hope and pray we don't hit that same hard pack material down under here. But we're planting some figs. These are Celeste figs, which are supposed to be some of the better figs that you can put in. So we've got 3 of these that we're going to get into the orchard as we continue to expand our orchard across this field going over towards the shop. Well, our good fortune ran out on us. We got these other 2 fig trees or fig bushes in over here. They went in really easy, unlike the plums where we had to dig down and we hit that hard pack, about 6 inches of hard pack that was it was a nightmare to get through. These figs went in really easy to dig through. But then we got to this third one, and I don't know why. It's a mystery to me on this farm. It really, one of those things you just wish you could know. What is the history of this place? Because, for example, right here, you dig down, there's about 2 inches of tops. If you look at what we flipped over, it's just sand and rocks from about 2 inches down. So it was from the topsoil right here to down to the bottom where we finally got through it. It's 12 inches of gravel. That's all sand and gravel. No idea why. In the middle of a field. Who knows? Anyways, we're gonna get this last fig in the ground. All right, got this one in, got these. So we've expanded our orchard a bit further. We pick up a few more of these and even maybe another plum or 2. And then we're gonna keep moving down to a certain point. But I think one of the things we'll add is certainly grapes. We're gonna trellis some grapes and probably some hardy kiwi that we'll trellis out there as well. So we'll get a couple of those things going across. That's it from here at St. Isidore's Farm tonight. I hope everyone is well. And until the next video, take care and God bless.